It's almost 2 a.m. The screen in front of me glows like a campfire in the dark. I'm not really watching the chart anymore, just staring, thinking a red candle just closed. I should feel something, but I don't. Not fear, not regret, not even hope, just silence. I've been here before, and I know I'll be here again. And I can't help but think of Jesse Livermore. Not the legend, not the myth, the man. Because if you've traded long enough, his story doesn't feel like history. It feels like prophecy. You hear the name Jesse Livermore, and you think the boy plunger, the man who shorted the 1907 panic, the guy who made $100 million in the crash of '29. But that's just the headline. The real story, the one they don't put on trading websites, is quieter and darker. He started like a lot of us do, young, curious, and desperate to make sense of the market. He was just 15 when he made his first trade. Back then, he was scribbling prices on chalkboards in a Boston bucket shop, a nobody. But with a mind like a blade, he watched the way prices moved, tick by tick. And more importantly, how people moved with them. That's what separated him. And eventually, he beat the house. He wasn't lucky. He was prepared. But even he once said, "There is nothing new on Wall Street. Whatever happens in the stock market today has happened before and will happen again." When I read that, it stopped me. Because what he's really saying is that we haven't changed. Not in 100 years, not ever. Livermore would rise and fall, and rise again. He made fortunes and lost them. He was a millionaire in his 20s, bankrupt in his 30s, richer than ever in his 40s, and utterly alone. By the end, the markets didn't destroy him, he destroyed him. And I get that now. Because trading at its core is not about intelligence, it's about self-mastery. He once said, "It was never my thinking that made the big money for me. It was always my sitting patience, discipline, stillness." And yet, he couldn't always follow his own advice. You might relate to this. You follow your plan for days, weeks, maybe even months. You feel in control. Then one random afternoon, you go off script. One bad trade becomes two. You get stubborn. You average down. You start trying to control the market instead of listening to it. That was Livermore's curse. He knew the rules. He wrote the rules. But in the silence of his own mind, the ghosts were louder. He suffered from deep depression, addiction to risk, the need to win, not just money, but identity. And I've felt that. That whisper in your mind that says, if this trade works, then I'm worth something again. If I just hit this one, I'll be back. But there's no finish line in this game. Just yourself. And your ability to sit with the storm. And that storm doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it's boredom. Days when nothing moves. When your setup never appears. When you sit and watch the screen, not because there's opportunity, but because you don't know who you are without it. That's when the danger creeps in, not in big crashes, but in quiet impulses. Livermore once said,
"The desire for constant action, irrespective of underlying conditions, is responsible for many losses in Wall Street."
And if you've been trading long enough, you know exactly what that means. You take a trade just to feel something. You size up because the last win made you feel invincible. You break your rules because, well, this time feels different, but it never is. That's what's tragic about Livermore's story. It's not that he didn't know better. It's that he did, and still couldn't help himself. His mind was brilliant, but brilliance isn't immunity. He had insight, instincts, experience, but no peace. And that's something I've had to confront too. This idea that no amount of technical skill will save you if you haven't made peace with uncertainty, with imperfection, with loss. Because loss isn't just part of trading. It is trading. There's no holy grail, no perfect system, no magic candle pattern that will save you from yourself. Livermore's life shows us that even mastery of the market won't protect you. If you're still trying to fill a hole inside with numbers outside, so the real question becomes, why are you here? What are you chasing? Because until you know that, you'll keep making the same mistakes over and over, just like he did. At the peak of his career, Livermore had it all: a mansion, fame, wealth. Most people can't dream of, but none of it made the voices go away. He became paranoid. Isolated markets changed. He didn't. Eventually, the tide turned. Again. In 1940, in a hotel cloakroom in Manhattan, Jesse Livermore took his own life. He was 63. His suicide note read, "My life has been a failure." And every time I think about that, it shakes me. Because if Jesse Livermore, the man who understood markets better than anyone, couldn't win the battle within, what chance do the rest of us have? But maybe that's the point. If you've never read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, don't read it like a textbook. Read it like a confession. Yes, it's fictionally based, but it's him. His voice, his truth. The brilliance of that book is how it strips trading bare. No strategies, no indicators, just psychology, human nature, temptation, discipline, ego, fear. It's not a guide, it's a mirror. There's a part in the book where he says, the market does not beat them. They beat themselves because, though they have brains, they cannot sit tight. And that's where most of us fall. Not in the charts, but in the quiet between trades. What Jesse Livermore really teaches us isn't how to trade, it's how to be. He was both the hero and the cautionary tale. And the line between the two is razor thin. The longer you trade, the more you realize this game isn't about money, it's about you. Can you stay calm when your plan is screaming at you to jump? Can you walk away when your ego wants to prove something? Can you survive the silence? Because this is a lonely pursuit. You might have friends, a family, a community online, but when that candle's about to close, when your position is bleeding, when you're staring into the screen at 2:14 a.m. again, it's just you. And that's what Livermore understood. Too late. He conquered the market, but not himself. So maybe the real win isn't a dollar amount. Maybe it's waking up tomorrow, still in the game, a little wiser, a little quieter, and a little more at peace. If this story stirred something in you, if you've felt that quiet war inside yourself, you're not alone. I'd love to hear your reflections in the comments. What has trading taught you about you? And if you find meaning in these midnight stories, the real ones beneath the charts, subscribe to The Midnight Trading. We're building a space for the thinkers, the feelers, the night watchers. No hype, no noise, just truth, told in the quiet.